I do like how this game brings you back into the world. Hey guys, Silvertorn here, and welcome to kind of a take-two. We'll get more into that later. Yeah, it's taken a while. Excuse for that would be Nier. Good game. Wasn't quite what I expected. I had no idea what I expected, but it was a good game, and that's all I have to say on that matter, because we are not playing that. We are playing Hollow Knight. Alright, so Hollow Knight on our agenda. I still don't have the compass on. I want to go stop into the room that is off to the lower right that we didn't go into. And then we're going to head towards that skull mask thingy in the middle, which may or may not be a boss. Which, yeah, that's... I'll say this much right now. That boss is why I had to reset. And I suppose I didn't technically have to reset, but I wanted to. And I'll explain why when we get back to it. Because it's kind of hilarious. I'm actually going to splice the clip in. Because I was, yeah, I did not expect that I could do that. Suppose you could use that. Yeah, that makes sense. Anyway, I went down too far because our goal currently is to go through here. Now, for the most part, I am bypassing a lot of enemies. These guys, though, I will stop to kill because this is almost the only room they appear in and reasons to kill them later, besides money. Because we will need a decent chunk of money as the game goes on. We don't need it now, but we will... actually, we need it now more than really later in the game. Did I show you everything that was in Sly's shop? I think I did. Pretty sure I did. First stop, over here, this room. Because I did not poke my head in this room. This is one of the last things I did. One of the last grubs I got in my first playthrough, because when I first visited it, I didn't know you could do this. And when I could go back later on and do it in different ways, I forgot the room existed. So, good for me, eh? Like, I thought you needed double jump and air dash and everything else, and I think that's how I eventually got it. I don't remember if I used the pogo or not. I just spoiled abilities. It's really... There's a lot of... As far as this game goes with power-ups, there are a lot of, like, your standard Metroidvania-type power-ups. So, you're obviously going to get a double jump. Probably going to get, like, a wall jump. Probably going to get this, that, the other thing. Like, most of your standard... I'm going to kill you. Most of your standard Metroidvania-type power-ups you're probably going to get. Let's be honest. The recipe has been made to this extent that, for the most part, you're not really going to deviate from it too much. I mean, even Axiom Verge, which did deviate from it in a quite interesting way, it still followed a bunch of the same principles, because just principles of game design, you can't really go too far away from it. You needed mobility, so jumping related stuff. I mean, it got around it in a bunch of different ways, by the way. This was a breakable wall. I missed this in my first time. And that's about all we can do this time. That's about as far as we're going to go. I also really like that charm that brings the money to me. It is incredibly useful. And, yeah, no, we can't actually go that way yet because making it through those spikes, let's just say doing this, if it's even possible, would be incredibly precise. As for now, we're in a rather large room. Nah, it couldn't be that room. Well, we can't go to the left. So I guess we gotta go up. And up. Oh, hey, bugs. And more bugs. Say hello to the false knight. First thing I'm going to draw your attention to as this guy's jumping around. That right there. Ow. Oh, good, he only does one hit point of damage with that. Those bigger enemies with the big old clubs, they actually do 2 damage with their clubs. Pretty bad. So this guy effectively can jump around, he can swing his thing when he jumps, or he can draw back for a long time and use the, make a shockwave with his thing. Beat him enough times, he falls over, his little mask falls off, and he does things. He'll eventually come over here and just start beating on the wall there, and you notice that, oh hey, that guard broke. We can now break that. So yeah, if you go down there, you can't really get back up, because that gate I showed you earlier is effectively where that leads out, and I need to heal. Cool. Is effectively where that leads out, and that gate opens up when the boss dies. So another thing you know is you don't actually get soul when you wail on this guy. Only when you hit his exposed head do you get soul. This is the only, like, he effectively has 2 hit bars. The first is to expose his head, and the second is to actually damage his head. Another thing I make a note of is you can't actually knock these falling rocks at him, and that will also do damage. Pretty useful. For the most part, he telegraphs his attacks rather well. Like, that was, I saw what he was doing there, but whoop, had to waste some charge. Okay, got 2 health back. I will take that. For the most part, he telegraphs his attacks pretty well. So if you're watching him, you can tell what he's about to do. And he moves slow enough that you have the time to respond. He's not that bad for like a first, like, teach you how this game will work boss. And I'm gonna heal now. That was a wasted heal. Alright. The music was gone and everything. He just came down here and beat him. Yep. Big old suit of armor. Little old grub. And for that, we get a city crest. No, he's not optional. So yeah, the funny thing is, if you fall back down here, this door here is locked. You cannot get back up there. Currently, anyway. So you would have to go the long way around and come back here. So I suppose technically you could bypass this boss, but that city crest is going to be important later on, believe me. Or can you bypass it? You can probably bypass that city crest. Thinking on it. Yeah, I think you can bypass the city crest. I think it is technically optional, but the route you would have to take is a little asinine. I'm gonna hit that lever. That lever opens that door. Yeah, that sounds reasonably doable, but I would not want to do that. Oh my word. This way, however, is what we really need from here. An ominous area to enter. Totally need it. Sure, bench. Let's update that map. Let's take a look at that map now. We have a good number more areas on it, and this here is the Ancestral Mound. Hey buddy, what do you gotta say? You are the snail shaman. I can see it. Oh, who is that creeping out of the darkness? My, you're looking grim. A strange, empty face and a wicked-looking weapon. Something as important has drawn you down into Hollow Nest's corpse. But I won't ask what. Perhaps the reason you found me is because you need my help? Say no more, friend. I'm going to give you a gift. A nasty little spell of my own creation. It's just perfect for a little one like you. Oh. Don't be afraid. Have faith. That spell belongs to you now. All you need to do is take it. You won't be going much further without it, I promise you. He's very accurate about that. Consumed the vengeful spirit. We effectively now have a projectile attack that uses our soul. Soul is a very important resource, and it's very useful that you can regenerate it in the field. Oh, you've woken at last. I apologize. Perhaps I should have warned you about the power of that spell. I was watching over you as you slept, but you seem to have, seem to have slipped away myself. Now we're awake. I was wondering, whether you would do me a small favor, not as repayment for my gift, of course, simply because we're now friends. You see, a horrid great beast has made its home in the heart of this temple. Such disrespect! I'd be quite grateful if you were to go venture deeper in and slay it for me. It's a hardy creature, but with your new power, you're more than a match for it. Good luck with this small favor, my friend. Oh, what is it? Are you wondering about the gate between us? It's a curious thing, but this door will not open until you have slain that creature laying at the heart of the temple. Don't worry about it. I'm sure the spirits of my ancestors will be watching over you. Not repayment. Sure. So, tap the button. We launch Vengeful Spirit. It does use soul, as we've seen previously, which may or may not be useful. And then we got these little roly-poly guys. They're gonna be butts. There are plenty of destroyable barriers and whatnot we're going to have to get rid of as we're progressing forward. Plenty of stuff we're gonna have to deal with. More roly-polies. Kill the roly-polies. Doop. Doop. Sadly, we don't bounce off of that. It's a shame. It'd be very useful. And in here, they make it so you can't actually jump over this guy, so you have to learn how to deal with him in a much better way than I did. But learn how to deal with him without being able to just jump over and evade them. How to bounce him back, more or less. Those little guys are going to be a bit of a pain, without a doubt. So many of these little roly-polies. So, do they also resemble an enemy that we may or may not have poked our head at earlier? I mean, it's possible. I wouldn't put it past things. Another soul gatherer thinger. Let's keep going this way. I know there was another way we could have gone, but we'll go back to that. This place is pretty big, to be honest. Like, not super big, and I don't think we can... I think we can go up, but I think we need double jump. Memo to self. Return here much later in the game. Much, much, much later in the game. Oh my word, you do not get double jump for a very, very long time in this game. Slight spoilers. Grab all this. Get some of these blue life hearts. Whatever you want to call them. Hey, I remember you. We can't hurt you as you get close. But now we have a projectile. And this guy is nice enough to have 2 attacks. The first of which is that acid spray, and the second is where he will launch one of his kids at you. And now we just need to keep beating on him until we kill him. And I am really horrible about keeping those blue hearts. I'm not sure if you guys have noticed this yet, but I am really horrible at keeping them. A few shots of your little attack there and you'll kill him. And if we look over here, we'll find Soul Catcher. That is a very useful charm, and we will actually have that on for most, not all, but most of the game. Before I go back to him, though, there is one more area I want to take a visit in here because I kind of ignored it, thinking that it was the way I was supposed to go because I've forgotten. But yes, the one thing I will say that might be a potential downside to this game is related to the charms. There is very limited charm space, and a few charms are at a premium, such as that Soul Collector. What it does is whenever you damage an enemy, you'll get, or damage an enemy with your nail, rather, you'll get more soul. Oh no, that was the way I was supposed to go. I did the loop for nothing, guys. Oh, so it's done then. You've slain the beast. Ah, the poor thing. It must have been terrified of you. It used to be quite docile, but the rancid air in these caverns filled it with some ancient rage. Still, you did what had to be done. You have my gratitude. Of course, we both know you wouldn't have made it through without that spell of mine. And look, the gate between us is opened. I'm sure you're eager to move on. Farewell, and have faith. Whatever you're seeking, it will find you. So back to my point about the glyphs. Or not glyphs, the charms. So go here, open up, then you put this on. Second glyph takes up 2 slots. Increases the amount of soul you gain when striking an enemy with the nail. That is, for most of the game, a mandatory charm, in my view. It is extremely useful to have. for a large majority of the game. And you just saw my mouse and screen. Sorry. A huge majority of the game. Very important to have. Oh, hey, Conifer's no longer here. Sorry I missed you. If you're feeling lost, why not pop into our new store in Dirtmouth and purchase a map of the area. Available now for an excellent price. So how Conifer works is once you defeat the boss of an area, he will vanish from wherever he is in it and return back up to the surface, or rather to the next area. If you do not have a map of the area, you can just go up there then and talk to his wife and purchase it from her. I have completed quote-unquote a few areas without finding him, and they've made him easier to find, actually, in a semi-recent patch. I say semi-recent because that's probably the best term I can think of. As for now, I think we've done a lot. Actually, no. We're still close to the surface. Let's do this first. Yeah, still close to the surface, so let's do this first. Go visit Papa Grub, because we have at least one grub to turn in. Sound right? That sound right? That sounds right. That sounds right. At least one grub to turn in. Man, look at the grubs. You can see them in the background there. Oh no, what'd you throw at us? Ooh, he threw us a piece of mask. We are halfway to getting an extra hit point, which will be very, very useful. And it looks like that's all he had. Still, pretty useful item to get that. So we have 527 monies, 527 geo. We're gonna go spend a good portion of that because, well, we're near the surface, and if I don't want to really go too deeply into the death mechanics until I actually die, and yes, I will die. That is a guaranteed, will happen. I will die at some point. I can't say how soon though. I don't think there's... Actually, yeah, I want to finish off the map before I do anything else. Finish off buying as much stuff off the map that I can. So, at this point, I'm going to buy the cocoon pin. I'm going to buy the vendor pin. I'm going to buy the stagway pin. And I could buy the wayward compass, but I'm going to buy the hot spring pin. The reason for that is the wayward compass is also a charm. And if you recall, we don't have any spare notches on our charm thing to put one in. So I'm going to ignore it. I'm usually good enough at navigating that I don't need it. Anything I can afford here? The rancid egg. This Lumafly lantern will also be useful later on. As it stands right now, there's nothing I really need, but I'm going to buy that anyway. Get rid of it for him, give some money, and that just kind of lowers it down. Well, now I have less money. The rancid egg has one use to my knowledge, and we're not actually going to see what that is for a while. We are probably 20-some minutes in. I'm going to keep going that way for at least a little bit. Poke my head into the next area at the very least. I should have stopped on the bench. But I didn't. But I did not. Alright, so if you haven't guessed from where I was pointing out earlier, as well as the fact that I have poked my head in here, I do believe, on one of the recordings, one of the episodes, and we saw this guy. 3 shots will not kill him. Now we just need to wait for him to spit a baby at us. And you notice that's why there's a little lip there, so the baby can't go too far. And the 4th shot will kill him. Allowing us to progress in this area. Let's see, you touch this water, which is very obviously not water, that is actually acid. Note the distinction, there is water in some areas that you can swim in. You can only swim on the surface, granted. But this is acid. You touch acid, it's just the same as hitting spikes. You don't want to touch acid. You really don't. But for now, step over here and you will notice we don't have the map for this area. Welcome to Greenpath. I need to kill those little bird things. I've got to kill those bird things at some point. Enemy! Greenpath is full of a lot of enemies that disguise themselves as shrubbery and whatnot. And these jerks. See him build up like that? He's trying to explode. That does a lot of damage and lasts a while. And he does it after he dies. Alright. And these guys will hide just about anywhere they feel like it. Like, you can kind of see him there, kind of see him as he gets up. He has a delay to getting up and all that stuff, but this is what Greenpath is going to be like. Enemies hidden everywhere. I do like the music. I do love the atmosphere. For the most part, the game does do a pretty good job of making sure that stuff is not in your way. Now, let's see if I remember how to navigate this area. I did have to spend a decent bit of this time in this area. It's not the worst to navigate, and actually the stag station for this area was the first one I got in my first playthrough. I think I completely missed it in the other one. Totally wasn't a trap, guys. Totally couldn't see its teeth sticking up. There's a lot of hidden areas and a bunch of other stuff. It's usually pretty prudent to blindly attack the walls as you're going if you're never really sure. I should have fired that sooner, but I didn't. Let's go up. I think there's a bench up. It is fairly prudent to blindly attack the walls as you're going through if you're not good at picking out the breakable wall signs, and I'm going to be doing my damnedest to keep an eye out for them. Though there is the Let's Player's curse, being with the fact of trying to talk and video game at the same time. Really hard! Anyway, we reached our bench. I think that's enough for this time. So, this time we managed to defeat a boss, showed you how you could skip a boss, and bought some stuff for the map, which we cannot use in this area because we don't have it yet. But you'll notice as we zoom out, nothing, because we don't have the map for it, of course. But you notice as we zoom in, there's a lot more icons on the map that we can look at. See Papa Grub, all the shops up there, Stag Station bench, the Blue Cocoons, hot springs, benches, everything we know of so far. And I think with that, I'm going to call it an episode. So, next time, we're going to keep exploring the Greenpath. And there's things are going to get going a lot more interesting in here. We're going to run into a few people of note. Oh, this area. I really love the atmosphere of it. Look at the waterfalls in the background. I love the atmosphere of this game. Boop. Later.